guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
And welcome into a rare Friday scoop session with our guy Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. Dukes, Judd and I were inside Target Center last night for one of the 5 greatest nights of my personal sports viewing over the last 20 years. I've been doing this for a living for 18 or 19 years. I can't think of 5 better in-person environments than last night at Target Center.
Yeah, I'm jealous just due to some personal circumstances. I wasn't at last night's game, was able to view it. Now, Phil, I'm a little bit older than you, right? I'm dating myself, so I'm now 44, so I can vividly remember 2004. So I was there. The 20-year anniversary is Sunday. So what is it? May 19th, 2004. KG,
Yep.
32 points, 21 rebounds. Chris Webber had a 3 to tie it at the buzzer. Almost went in and out. And the Wolves won that Game 7, that second round, Game 7 against Sacramento by 3. So I was in Target Center for that game, then was at Target Center for the Western Conference Finals. So I still vividly remember 20 years ago, but for people of your age, younger, yes, I would imagine last night had to be right up there, whether it's top 5, top 3, or number 1. What an unbelievable evening.
I think the most important thing, too, was because of the amount of wealthy folks who had bailed, Dukes, the get-in price came way down, and, the second deck was electric. That was Wolves fans, right? Mm-hmm. The people who go – because, when tickets got jacked up to, $350 or something like that, there's a lot of people, and I don't blame them, who simply tap out, can't go. So, last night, you got those folks back in, and I knew it was going to be a special night when the Nuggets were being introduced and there was an organic. So the guy didn't have to get on his mic and yell an organic "Let's Go Wolves" cheer that drowned out the Nuggets introductions. That was when you get organic chants from fans, and that it's so special because now it's all look at the scoreboard. You should cheer now. Last night it was game on, and the Wolves played great. So yes, the fans thrived off of that. But I think there was a small part of that where the Wolves also thrived off the fans because they brought it. And I don't know if Phil agrees with this or not, but I felt like the pessimism wasn't nearly as much in the building.
No, it did. Yeah,
from the start.
There was a little wavering at 9-2 timeout Wolves. 9-2 Nuggets
little.
timeout Wolves. It was because you're right. The pregame vibe was incredible. And the fans were there to carry this team and get to a Game 7. Then it's oh, God, the Wolves had to call the first time out, and you could tell fans were just exasperated. And Anthony Edwards came out. Jaden McDaniels knocked down a big corner 3. Cat had the big hammer dunk. And now they're on a 20-0 run that turned into a 29-5 run. This is an incredible series, Doogie, here, in that you have 2 teams that are capable of absolutely destroying the other team. It's if this is a boxing match, either one of these opponents could knock the other one out in the second round. But we've yet to see a fight go the distance, too. So you got to wonder if Game 7 is going to be the one where finally we get to a judge's split decision and both opponents are just weary from a 12-round fight. We're going to have to see.
Average margin of victory in this series, 21 points.
That's wild.
Ridiculous.
That is wild. Phil, you're right about the 20-0 run. How about the other runs last night? I have them written down. 13-0, 24-0. In one game, a 20-0 run, a 13-0 run, a 24-0 run. That 20-0 turned into 27-2. So it flipped. You're right. 9-2 turned into 29-11. Snap of the fingers. You're right, Ant, Jaden. So yeah, the energy. Now here's my advice. I'm not going from our TV office. Joe Schmidt is getting this trip, but it wasn't ridiculously expensive on United. And I will tell you, I sat next to a gentleman on the plane ride on Tuesday ahead of Game 5. He told me he was going out there anyway on business, but has a niece out in the Denver area. He hopped on one of the ticket apps. He found really good seats behind the basket, section 138, behind the basketball arena, 10 rows up. He didn't tell me the exact number, but he said incredibly reasonable. Now, maybe it's jacked up a little bit for Sunday, but I do think a lot of Nuggets fans are anticipating a Western Conference Finals run. Probably, if they win on Sunday, an NBA Finals run. Maybe they spent their money last year.
Saving their money for a future event that might not occur, huh?
Correct. But I'm just saying, if you're contemplating going on Sunday, and I also get it, we don't even know the game time yet, right? It depends on what takes place tonight. Knicks Pacers. So we don't know if it's Sunday 2:30 or Sunday 7 o'clock. So that could dictate, okay, like maybe you want to hop on an 11 a.m. or noon flight on Sunday because it's a night game, right? So we don't even know the game time. So I understand that. But I'm just saying, if you're contemplating going on Sunday, do it. Go. It's a fun atmosphere. It's an easy city to get to. Ubers galore. Like, just logistically, it's very easy to do. This coming from somebody that was there on Tuesday. So I would highly, highly recommend it.
So, Dukes, let's go back to Jaden, because when he plays like he did last night, I think he becomes arguably one of, and it might be the second most important person on the team at times, because he knocks down shots, plays relentless defense. In your opinion, and you've certainly been around the team more than I have, in your opinion, is there a key to unlocking that? And what's the potential frustration about the fact that we get these seemingly wild swings where he becomes a guy that almost seems content to be in the background, but then when he emerges from it, proves that he can be a really, really impactful player?
He had 35 points combined in the first 5 games.
Yeah.
Then he explodes last night. I do think he had 2 early blocks last night. That helps. Just his engagement. We know how good he is on defense, but blocking those shots. Some other games, when he crashes the offensive glass, maybe gets a putback or two, some easy buckets, that then translates later in the game. To me, sometimes it's as simple as just knocking down these open looks. How many open looks, and when I say open, wide open looks, has he missed, especially going back the first 5 games? Now, he missed his first attempt last night, but after that, he saw the ball go through the hole. There's a reason why they gave him a $135 million extension. I promise there's a lot more offense to his game. You talk to people that he was with at Washington, going back to high school. There is more to unlock there. It may not happen until, whether it's Cat or somebody else isn't on the team anymore. So we might be talking 2-3 years, maybe way down the road. But I can promise you there is a strong belief from many people close to Jaden that there's a lot more to his offensive game. But he was excellent in game 2. I mean, I could argue game 2, like if he wasn't the most valuable player in game 2, like up there, just the way he harassed Jamal Murray that game. So, like, there's been value with Jaden this series. But last night was the first time we saw that value on the offensive end.
I brought this comparison up we just got done recording a Flagrant Howls with Jim Peterson and Kyle Tighe. And I said, I think Jaden McDaniels he is sort of the extra superpower that you need to go from being a really good, maybe even like the second best team in the NBA, to being a championship team. That if he plays like he did in game 2, there was a game in Phoenix where he scored 25. If he plays like that last night, you're gonna get the clamps defense as a baseline. When he layers in the offense, and he can shoot some threes. Now, he's struggled since the All-Star break, but he can shoot some threes. He's got a mid-range game. It's like those San Antonio Spurs teams, Dukes, from 10, 15 years ago. Bruce Bowen was a huge piece to those teams. He was the lockdown perimeter defender. He scored like 8 points a game. They didn't really ask him to do anything offensively. At worst, Jaden McDaniels is this team's Bruce Bowen. But there is another layer. There's some potential for him to be a diet Kawhi Leonard, because he can drop 18 or 20 points. I'm not saying he's actually going to be Kawhi Leonard. But if he can rise above the Bruce Bowen level of play and get more to like a diet Kawhi Leonard, this team wins the championship, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's an exaggeration. I will tell you, the work is there. Like, even yesterday morning, so I was over at shoot-around yesterday morning, he was the last guy on the court. A couple practices ago that I was at, last guy on the court because he knows, like, he is going to be left open.
Yeah.
He has to make those shots. Now, I get it. Mayo Clinic Square at 11 a.m. isn't Target Center at 8:30 with 20,000 people, watching your every move plus millions on TV. So I understand that, but I can just tell you, being in like the same, area of him and watching him put in the work, plus knowing people that know him way better than I do, you can't question that man's work ethic. But I'm with you, Phil. Like, when he can play like he did, it was, two of the Phoenix games. He had 20-something, then he had 18, right? So 2 of those 4 Phoenix games, the offense was absolutely there. Then when he's clicking like he did last night, it translates. Like, you can point to, go back to the regular season. He did not have a good offensive regular season.
No,
right?
It was
to me, it was very
a dip.
Underwhelming. Yes. It was a pretty massive dip, but you can translate when he has those good shooting games more often than not. I don't have the specific numbers in front of me right now, but I can promise you more often than not, when he's scoring 18 or 21 or 25, the Wolves are not losing those games. So when he can play, when he can make shots like he did last night, Phil, I am with you. We can talk about June 6th. I think it's a Thursday. We can talk about game 1 of the NBA Finals. I believe it'll be in Boston. I don't think it'll be at Target Center against the Knicks. I think it'll be in Boston, Thursday, June 6th. We can talk about that when Jaden is playing like he did last night.
If there was ever a question, Darren, about the importance of Mike Conley, it was answered last night. Like, if to go from game 5, where it was clear that his absence was a real problem, to game 6. And I told Phil on our post-game Flagrant Howl show last night, I know that we talk about it, and it's a convenient narrative, that it is the Batman and Robin are Ant and Cat. But in some ways, I think the real Batman and Robin right now are Ant and Conley, because the stability that Conley brings, he hit shots as well last night. But I mean, you just saw the calming presence, right? And in game 5, there's no question. They got flustered, and for lack of a better term, they start to run around and guys get out of position. I mean, Conley is one of the best stabilizers I've seen. And I feel like championship teams usually have this guy, this type of guy that can just calm things down on the floor. You don't need to call a timeout. He's got this. But I mean, Mike Conley, 13 points last night, but my God, he was a difference maker in that game.
I mean, they're up 17 after the first quarter. Was it just 1 turnover in the first quarter? Was it 3 turnovers at the half, right? So just in terms of just making the right decision.
1.
Spacing. I mean, just there are so many qualities. Right. Plus, I guess it's a cliche, right? The adult in the room. And I get it. Like, he was on the bench on Tuesday for game 5, but it's different when you're on the court. How about when a guy's at the free throw line? Some of the coaching he's doing. I recall a nice conversation he was having with Ant at one point. Yes, he is such an incredible difference maker. Wolves fans should be very grateful that his Achilles is okay, because, like, I saw him pregame game 5, like, in Denver, just with the visiting team. Like, shoot-around's different. Like, we get into the arena. We get to watch for a considerable amount of time. It's a little bit different in a controlled environment like the Wolves have at Mayo Clinic Square for home shoot-around, home games. But for visiting, teams and road games and all that, like, we get a little bit more access from a media standpoint. So I thought just watching him move before game 5, I thought he would give it a go, but he knows his body better than anyone, and he wasn't able to overcome it. But just with an extra day plus of treatment, able to go last night. And I mean, undoubtedly he'll go on Sunday. But yes, I mean, and then you look at the extension, right? 2 years, $22 million. You think about him for the next 2 years, even if he has to sit out 10 to 12 games, some load management, right? If he ends up playing only 66 games or 67 games, what a sweetheart of a deal at $11 million per. I mean, he's just A-plus person, but just his presence on the court is also right now A-plus.
Boy, I think the Wolves would have swept the Nuggets with D'Lo, though. If we could bring D'Lo in and ship out Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Mike Conley. So hey, we got more Wolves stuff to get to here in a second, but a quick shout out to our friends over at Nicolay Law, the official and exclusive personal injury law firm of Flagrant Howls and Purple Daily and Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. Nicolay Law knows that when you or a loved one gets injured, ordinary life can come to a stop. Things can get complicated. During that time, insurance companies are pressuring you. This is where Nicolay Law comes in. They're just a bunch of normal, relatable folks that happen to have law degrees. They are based in the Twin Cities to make sure you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. If you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers at Nicolay Law. That's nicolaylaw.com, or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. Also, our friends at Dennis Kirk, are here for riding season. So if you like to ride motorcycles, ATVs, UTVs, dirt bikes, whatever it is, all the top brands with the most stock available for all brands compared to their closest competitors. This is the place to go. 185,000 parts, apparel, and accessories. You can get same-day shipping and free shipping on orders over $89. Financing plans also available. Check them out at DennisKirk.com. That's DennisKirk.com. So Judd and I did like an hour-long live Flagrant Howls podcast from the arena last night. And I was uploading the podcast, and Judd did a social media video from courtside. So we both walked out like maybe 10 minutes apart, and we both commented to each other this morning. Did you hear that private owner's room? It used to be the old media press conference room that A-Rod and Lori paid money to convert it to like a private hosting area.
Well, I'm not quite sure they paid the money.
So Glenn paid the money.
Yeah.
Hell of a room.
It was bumping 2 hours after the game, and it was bumping like the loudest music. A-Rod sent some stuff out on his Instagram. So, dude, Mark and I don't think Mark was there last night, but those guys are.
He wasn't there last night because I saw him in Denver for Game 5.
Yeah, I didn't see him pregame, or I didn't see him.
Okay, so I'll trust you guys. You guys were there, but I'm just saying he was in Denver for Game 5.
Yeah, he's been to all the other games in the series, but like. Those guys are walking around the arena and walking around backstage like they own the team, and it's just a fascinating dynamic. And I don't think Glenn was in there partying 2 hours after the game with him. So
you don't think Glenn was in there?
I don't think so.
Glenn wasn't in there at 11:30 last night
with Becky.
You don't think so?
With Becky,
just pounding late night in his lasagna and
here's some lasagna,
water.
A-Rod.
I mean, I'm telling you, like even before Game 5, just to see the interaction, Tim Conley with one of A-Rod's guys, with Mark's significant other, just, the way they have the handshake and the hug and all that, then the way he approaches Glenn and Becky, it's a completely different dynamic.
Yeah.
It really is. And hey, I get it. Like there's a lot of Wolves people that don't even know what to say. Like they don't know which side to
That's
go
a terrible
toward.
predicament.
It's even shifted. There's some employees, well, I know of at least one, solely reports to Mark and Alex, so he's on the payroll, but like Mark and Alex are his people, like not some others, and so it's a very, very weird dynamic. But hey, good for A-Rod, good for all those other limited partners. There's a few others, right? The Bill Pops of the world, all those people. If they were, I don't think Bill was probably in there, but you get my point. Hey, party it up, live it up. I mean, I bet that was a blast. Hopefully they were there until about 2-3 in the morning.
I saw A-Rod leave when I left. He came out the door and went upstairs. And the last thing that I heard from him was a very loud Wolves in 7. So he's confident as well. He's confident as well. And then I saw
he's just running around the skyways yelling.
Some people were talking to him. Some people were talking to him. And he's like, Wolves in 7. I let's just say I think he had a good time, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I heard you got divorced.
I'm just glad he's back in the room. I'm just glad the room is back. Because according to what Krasinski wrote a few weeks back, Glenn had boarded that room up. He couldn't go in.
Yeah, there was a quick shift. Yeah, I don't even know if it was quite to that extent.
Discotheque now.
But now everybody's got access to it, right? So if you have, if Debbie Saunders wants to go in there, right, with her 0.001% ownership, anybody who's got a stake in the team, hey, go for it. Everybody's got access to that room. So yeah, just classic. But hey, they should be confident, right? How about this note? Did you guys see this note? So the Wolves' path in the 2024 Western Conference semifinals, this from the NBA, represents the 14th time in NBA playoff history, a team that went up 2-0 in a series, then trailed 3-2 before forcing a Game 7. So just like here, the Wolves go up 2-0, then go down 3-2, then force a Game 7. In the 13 previous times it has happened, the team that forced Game 7 went 10-3.
Interesting.
So history suggests when you force that Game 7, you then win that Game 7. Now, I get it. Denver will be, is the line out yet? Is it like Denver by 4 or 5? Yeah, I mean, yes, right? I mean, how would they not be, right? They have some Game 7 experience. Heck, even Reggie Jackson on the roster has some Clippers Game 7 experience, right? They have a bunch of guys who have played in Game 7s. It's a home game. But I don't know. Phil, like 5? I mean, if it comes down to the final 2 minutes, maybe we finally get one of those close games. And I get it. Like, Denver is one of the best clutch time teams in history. Like, literally, going back the last 5 or 6 years, they are so good in clutch time. But that's a good, healthy number. I might take those points.
So interesting. I do want to go down memory lane again. You were talking about just your memories from 20 years ago being in those arenas. And so we're sitting here also, I think, exactly 20 years to the day of maybe the most famous Kevin Garnett clip in Timberwolves.
So Game 7, man. That's it. It's all the marbles. I'm sitting in the house. I'm loading up the pump. I'm loading up the Uzi. I got a couple of M16s, a couple 9s. I got a couple joints with some silencers on them. I'm just loading up clips, a couple grenades. Got a missile launcher with a couple, missiles. I'm ready for war.
Which, by the way, amazing.
I was there.
He had to
if you can
apologize.
see, if there's a KFAN mic flag, that would have been me. Yeah.
Here's a question real quick.
Yeah.
What for both you guys, what does Sunday's Game 7 mean for Anthony Edwards?
At 22 years old? Well, I mean, let's say he scores 45, more than 44, right? He had 43 in Game 1. That set a Wolves, single game playoff record. Then he scores 44 later in the series, right? So beats the record. If he then beats the record again, gets to like 45 or more, I mean, I don't know if I can quantify that, right? So they get to the Western Conference Finals. You like their chances. Heck, watch Dallas finish off that series against OKC tomorrow. Then you would have Game 1, Mavericks-Wolves, Target Center next Wednesday, right? So the Wolves could host Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. So let's just keep playing this out, Phil. So Ant has a really, really good game, or maybe even just an efficient game like last night. I mean, I don't know, right? Like, do they need to get to the finals to really elevate him? Like, what are you talking about? Like, are we trying to elevate him to, like, Tier 1, whatever that Tier 1 is? Like, where is he right now? Is he Tier 2, Tier 3? He's All-NBA. Like, we knew that weeks ago. He's going to make All-NBA. That extension he signed will elevate up to $260 million. So, we know that. He was so good, heck, 2 years ago in the playoffs against Memphis, then even better last year in the playoffs against Denver. So, yeah, it keeps going up. But I'm just trying to figure out, okay, has a really good game Sunday. Wolves win. I don't know. I mean, are we running out of ways to describe his brilliance? Maybe not. I don't know. I got to process that a little bit.
I think what's crazy about this is, I told this to Jim Pete on Flagrant House too, I guess, but Denver feels like it's a complete dynasty level team. They already have their first championship. They are very clearly playing at a ridiculous level here up until last night, the last week. They've got the best player in the world who just won his third MVP. He's only 28 years old. All of these factors, Denver looks like they can and might roll off 3 championships in 4 years or something, maybe back to back, maybe a 3-peat, but they are that level of team. And Jokic is, by any measurement, one of the greatest players of the last 30 years in the NBA. In fact, he's ahead of Michael Jordan on player efficiency rating, on win shares per 48. It's crazy. That's the mountain that you are trying to scale here. If Anthony Edwards leads the Timberwolves to the top of that mountain, it is a very big deal for his standing in the NBA, for his legacy, and it might be the gateway path to you winning a championship earlier than scheduled, quote unquote, with him. So, and by the way, if they lose, it's also just this. It's probably a great bad taste to have in your mouth going into your age 23 season to sit on that, right? So it could possibly be a great short-term outcome or a great long-term outcome with either result on Sunday.
Still only 22, though. You mentioned Jokic, 28. Imagine where Ant could be in 6 years at 28. I mean, he already has all these national commercials. He's already an all-star, multi-time all-star. Like, that's not going anywhere. He's going to be an all-star for as long as he stays healthy, any number of years into the future. Like, incredibly marketable. Like, so I don't know. Like, yes, I get everything you're saying, but to me, he's already way the heck up there, right? I mean, we've heard he doesn't want the comparison, but others are coming up with it, right? Like, there's MJ, right? He does the shrug, right? And, you know, comparisons to Kobe and accomplishing things that only Kobe at such a young age accomplished in a Lakers uniform, right? So I think we're already talking about a lot of that stuff. But yes, I get it, Phil. I get everything you laid out. Like, if they slay that dragon, and I'm with you, like, if the Nuggets go on and win this series, yes, I still like Boston a lot, but I wonder about Porzingis. Can he come back? Right? By the way, Boston loves the fact that the Wolves won last night. It gives Porzingis a few extra days before game one of the Eastern Conference Finals. That thing gets stretched out a little bit further, but I still like the Celtics. But yeah, like, you make a case, right? The winner of Sunday, make that team the favorite to win the championship. And yeah, I mean, Denver's core is young enough. They're not going to slow down. But I still think Ant is on this incredibly high pedestal, rightfully so. So I don't know. Like, if you win the championship, okay, that changes the dialogue. Heck, if you get to the finals, that changes the dialogue. But, like, you could win Sunday, then lose in the Western Conference Finals, and I don't know how much changes then.
But he doesn't truly vault up into, like, the Jordan comparisons don't become apt until he is in a championship or wins one.
Yeah.
And so that's
I think wins
where,
one, right?
That's where it changes. Like there, it's fun to talk about it. And yes, there are stylistic similarities, but if he wins a championship or much less gets to one, I think that among the real experts, that conversation now becomes far more, because then he's going up to the Jordan Kobe realm of things. A guy that can help in a major way, play a huge role in getting to a finals and potentially winning that. Right now, I think Ant as Jordan is a fun theory, and it's fun to talk about. But to answer Phil's question, I think his legacy takes him to the penthouse if they make it and win a championship.
Let me go back to the point spread. So you said it's Denver by 5. So Jamal Murray late last night acknowledges my elbow. Like, he took a shot early in the game. His shooting numbers, Rudy. Yeah, I mean, he was
shaking a lot.
It was a relatively clean screen. By the way, Mark Davis being the lead official. Can Mark Davis be the lead official on Sunday? The Wolves win game 2. They win game 6 with Mark Davis as the lead official. We talked about that yesterday morning. I don't think that certainly hurt the Wolves. So, Denver also missed some, relatively open looks last night, especially early before it snowballed, right? So I don't know how much, if you're Denver, you want to blame Mark Davis for allowing the physicality, all that. But yeah, I mean, it was a hard screen, but certainly in the context of the playoffs, it didn't need to be whistled. But yeah, I mean, Murray's shooting numbers were horrific last night. I just wonder, when he goes on the record, he acknowledges my elbow. It felt weird. Hey, I've got a couple days now. We'll see, heading into Sunday, he's going to play. Like, I don't have any reason to believe he's not going to play on Sunday, but I just wonder, like, will the elbow still be an issue? Another reason why 5 just seems like a really big number.
Yeah. We'll get some rapid fire scoops here. By the way, so not a great stretch there for the Twins getting beat by the Yankees, but you can still get tickets. Twins.com/tickets. The weather has been excellent largely lately, and the Twins will be coming back to town next week, and you can see them after they get back, from Cleveland. But twins.com/tickets if you want to see this budding rotation. At some point, Royce Lewis is going to be back in the mix. Carlos Correa. The Twins, despite losing a few games here, are still in prime position to make a playoff run. So twins.com/tickets to get to one of the best ballparks in America. Just anything else on your mind here in the final minute on this rare Friday scoop session with Doogie?
Well, I mean, I think about some of the Wolves front office folks who are in Chicago right now. So the balancing act of, like, team best run in 20 years, trying to pay attention, but also it's a very busy draft week. So most of the Wolves front office is in Chicago. I did check. I wanted to see if they had a formal interview with former Gopher Cam Christie. No, I didn't check on other names. Maybe I'll check on them for later. But it's been a busy week for the Wolves front office in Chicago. They have the 27th pick. Then they also have another top 40 pick. So you think about all the picks they won't have the next handful of years from the Gobert trade. This June, they actually have 2 top 40 picks. So this is a pretty significant draft for the Wolves when thinking about depth. In all likelihood, Kyle Anderson gone, Monte Morris, and Jordan McLaughlin are also both unrestricted free agents. Certainly both won't be back. It's possible that neither is back. I could see a scenario where maybe Monte is back. I don't think Jordan will be back. But you think about needing depth, for the next handful of years. Yes, they like Leonard Miller a lot. Yes, rightfully so. They like Josh Minot a lot. Wendell Moore, we'll see. Luka Garza also a free agent, right? So I'm not quite sure Luka is back. But it's a busy stretch for the Wolves front office right now. A couple other notes. Byron Buxton, it looks like tomorrow, I was led to believe tomorrow is 2 games in St. Paul. He came out of it healthy. I mean, a few strikeouts, right? Didn't have success at the plate, knocking off some rust, but I was led to believe Saturday in Cleveland, Buxton back in the Twins lineup. Then Robert Tonyan signs, the former Packer signs with the Vikings. Also recently worked out for the Tennessee Titans. He is now tight end number 7 as we look at the 90-man roster heading into training camp. The Vikings have 7 tight ends.
It's a lot of tight ends, boys. That's a lot of football trenches.
A lot of beef
12
right
personnel right there. 13 personnel.
But I was also told, yes, we know TJ isn't going to be back week 1, but we're not talking okay, they signed Tonyan because TJ is going to be out until December. Right? I think a lot of people were okay, if you sign a guy like that, what does this mean for TJ?
Yeah.
I'm led to believe this isn't some sort of setback because of TJ, thus we made this move. But I'm telling you, anybody who thought TJ was going to be back week 1, just no, he needs more time than that.
Yeah. There he is, folks. Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. Usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, but the Wolves in life are throwing curveballs, and that's totally okay.
It's been a busy week, to say the least. But all is well. All is well. Took the little man. Yeah,
Good.
yeah. I mean, I've been vocal on social media, so I have no problem verbalizing all this right now. Took the little man to get his 13 stitches out this morning. So
great.
All things considered, all is well.
Dude,
remarkable.
Tough little guy, man. Tough little guy.
He is way tougher than I am.
Yeah.
And hey, my PSA, wear helmets. Really. I can't quantify exactly how much his helmet saved him. Was it from a minor brain injury, a major brain injury? For those who don't know, my 9-year-old was struck by a car. He was on his electric scooter on Saturday. Again, thankfully, all is well. He's like Bruce Willis from Unbreakable. Didn't break any bones, never lost consciousness, but face got beat up pretty good. But the first responders who were fantastic from the New Hope Police Department, those at Children's Hospital in Minneapolis, many were fantastic. And they said, hey, the helmet saved him. I can't quantify exactly how much, minor brain injury, major brain injury, perhaps, life and death, right? It may have been the difference. But yeah, just wear helmets, right? I mean, please, absolutely wear helmets.
Yeah. Well, glad to hear your family is doing well here and on the mend. And Dukes will see what happens on Sunday, and we'll catch up again next week, man.
I'm rooting for that 2:30 game. So go Knicks. Go Tibbs. I want Tibbs to finish that thing off, even though Anunoby is out again. I get it. Indiana pretty darn good at home, right? I mean, New York's been playing shorthanded here for a while, but find a way to win tonight. New York, 2:30 ABC, locally Channel 5. That would be fantastic on Sunday.
Do it for Dukes.
Yeah. Do it for Dukes.
7 o'clock isn't all that bad
Tibbs.
either. Yeah, at least it won't be 9 o'clock or 8:45, so we'll take it.
Enjoy Game 7, folks.
All right.
Minnesota
Have a good
Sports
weekend
with Mackey and Judd.